Okay, so today is going to be a labor and love day. As you can see, everything is overgrown. And it seems like I'm going to have a break and a little bit of rain and a little bit of heat. So I got up early this morning so I can come out here and try to clean out the garden because my gardening season is getting ready to start soon. It's going to be a little bit cooler here in South Florida. So we can then start planting some of our plants that we love to plant. I love to plant everything, but I'm just saying now there's some things that are just too hot. Like for us, tomatoes is not a good crop for us when this heat, hot heat, because it's very hot and it's very humid. But now I have my onions here. I'm going to clean that out. I showed you earlier the lemongrass, and then I'm going to show you over here. See over there, right there inside there? That was my broccoli, and that was where my collard greens are. Look at that, all weeds. That's because I've had a lot of rain and I haven't had an opportunity to come out here to weed everything. And also because it's been very hot. So I'm showing you what this garden looks like right here, and I'm getting ready to show you it's going to take a labor of love to get it back into shape. So this is what happens sometimes. Your garden will not look always like a Martha Stewart garden, because you don't have Martha Stewart's staff, but you also, it's a lot of work. But of course, as we know, it's a lot of work, but it's very much, look at that, my sunflower. Ugh. And look at this, look how overgrown everything is. But I'm gonna get out here today, and my goal today is to get this all whipped it back into shape, and I'm gonna do some changing because as I see the overgrowing of stuff, you know, it's a labor of love. It's also still learning because, you know, we're still new to this game here. But I just wanted to show you guys because you may have a garden. You may be like, oh my gosh, look at all of this. And it's nice, but it does entail maintenance. You have to clean it up. It has to be cleaned up. Luckily for me, I have a system in place. I'm just going to go ahead and get my weed rake. And I'm going to weed this all up, pull this all up. And I think I might have waited a little bit too long, but not too long. So I came out here to take care of this. I have all these leaves from my mango tree dropping on the ground now because mango season is done. I'm going to take these leaves here. I'm going to put them all in my compost. So it is a little bit after 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going to come out here and I'm going to work out here till at least 9, hopefully, before the peak sun comes, and just have to go back inside because it's really, really, really hot. Here in South Florida, not only is it hot, but it is humid. So if it wasn't so humid, I think we could survive it. But in Florida, it is humid, and you just start sweating just by standing upright. But here it is. So here I go. I'm going to be doing this today, but I wanted to share this with you so that you, as a gardener, could know that, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do work. But in the end, it is going to be so gorgeous. I'm going to get everything ready to go so like that I can start planting in here. You know, I'm going to start doing the seedlings inside the greenhouse. And then I'm going to go ahead and take them out. You can see I've already started my beans right there. You know, beans can grow all year round, but I've started beans right there. So there you go. All right. So this has been Simone from PinchAPennyGardener. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And know I'm going to be out here doing this labor to get it back in shape. And I hope this is what you're doing as well. Getting your garden back in shape. Okay, so I've cleaned out what I consider the lemongrass bed. It was a lot of weeds, and I was able to use the hoe rake, you know, the weeder that I love so much. Now I'm just going to come down in here and I'm going to start pulling like the individual weeds that I have to pull out, and then I'm going to go on to the next bed. But yeah, and I'm already sweating, so I'm kind of not really going into the plan that I had where get out early and not sweat so much. But you can't help it because it is so humid here in South Florida that I'm telling you, I'm just sweating by standing up. Just standing here sweating. Of course I'm working, but still. So also I'm going to tell you, when you're out here, weeding because we're so hot. It's so hot throughout the world. I mean, really, it's hot throughout the world. Big hint. But make sure that you hydrate. Make sure that you're drinking a lot of water while you're out here. Even though the sun is not out hot, it's still hot heat. So make sure while you're out here weeding in your garden, you are drinking a lot of fluids. A lot. Okay, so let me get back to work and I'll check back in with you in a little bit. Oh, okay, so now you've caught me. Right here are the weeds I have to pull up. Unfortunately, the weed hoe can't get to this, so I'm going to have to yank these up. And it's funny because you really think that, you know, I've been doing this is like a long growth. It really isn't. And here, weeds grow faster than my own crops. So here I am, you know, all this. Really, there's really nothing you can do. You just have to pull it out. So, in case you're wondering why I'm flinching, it's a mosquito and I'm trying to avoid it from biting me. Even though I went ahead and I sprayed on it. I sprayed my lemongrass oil, which just helps a lot when I'm out here. So I made the lemongrass oil before I came out here, and I knew that I had to put a lot on so like that I wouldn't get bit. Lemongrass oil, remember, and peppermint oil are two really big deterrents to keep mosquitoes away. And in South Florida, we have a lot of mosquitoes. I know one thing. If anybody could give me a real cure to get rid of mosquitoes or from getting bit, I would greatly appreciate it if you send me some messages in my DMs on Instagram. Okay, so I got them up. I have my little bucket with me. I'm just going to dump it in the bucket. And this area, to me, is going to be cleared out now from the weeds. I'm going to get the rake and I'm going to rake off these mango leaves, put them in my compost. And this section of my flower bed, sorry. This section of my garden is clean. See you in the next section. Okay, here I am again at what used to be my tomatoes. I'm going to end up cleaning out this flower bed and the weeds here on the outside around it. Now, I know some of my fellow gardeners are going to say to me, "Hey, Simone, why don't you put down that black tarp thing to keep the weeds away?" Well, I'm going to tell you. This area here, I did put down the black tarp, and I also put on top of it fresh dirt. So these things are growing through the black tarp and the dirt. So, well, actually I'm going to say this. The black tarp the black, screen that you put down for the weeder, it did get rid of some of the weeds, because before, this thing was full of weeds before I started this part of the garden. And it has helped, but still you're gonna have weeds. I mean, if you got a lot of rain and you got a lot of wind, which we've had rain and wind, it's like the seeds just grow. So yeah, it makes sense. I think that the black thing does work, but I'm just gonna let you know that I did put it down here. So you still have to clean it up. Okay, so as you can see, I'm pretty much done clearing out this section of the garden. But I want to share with you really quickly some things. Make sure that when you're pulling up your weed, that you're pulling up the weed and not the plant. Because I have, in the peppermint, sometimes pulled up the peppermint thinking it was a weed. So just take your time when you're weeding so like that you don't pull up the plant instead of the weed. The other thing I'm going to tell you is you want to go ahead and invest in some handheld tools. I find that they're very helpful for me, especially when I'm weeding, because I have to get close into the plant and inside the little, I have to sometimes lift the plant up and rake underneath it. So I have invested in a few little handheld tools. I'm going to tell you, I've gotten them, at a reasonable price when Target is having their 70% off sale. It generally comes like during like an off season when they're getting ready to close down the gardening section. So it's like, 70% off, and I've been able to get some of the tools there. I've also found some deals when I go to Home Depot and I go to the end cap when they're having a clearance there. I've seen some tools there. I've gotten some tools there. Some people find things on Amazon. I found things on Amazon. Target, like I mentioned Target, I mentioned Home Depot. Oh, Big Lots. That's another store I've gone to that I found some things where I've gotten a lot of good deals also. But again, I tend to go when it's like when they're closing off this season, when they think, oh, people aren't gardening anymore, then go and get them, because they're there and they're like 70% off, 50% off. But pay attention and go, because you're going to need them. If I didn't have my rake, I couldn't get in there and get all that stuff out of there that I need to get out. So, catch you on the next side. Alright, so the hard part of gardening and the part I hate the most is finally finished. I completed all of the weeding of my garden, which I'm very glad to do. Not really. But it's done. And I went a little bit longer than I thought, because I went ahead and I took out a lot more weeds than I normally would do, because I'm also at the same time getting my flower beds ready for planting. The other thing I'm going to do now is just cut back my overgrown foliage, which means I'm going to cut back the lemongrass. I'm going to cut back on my sunflower plants, and I'm going to see if some of the plants that I have still growing, like I still have celery growing, I'm going to see if I can cut that down and get it to start growing again. Also, I have carrots. I'm going to pull those up because it's time to pull up the carrots. So like that I can put in my peas, and I can start doing my other little summer things I want to finish for the end of the summer. I'm also going to start making my seedlings for my next coming planting season. For me, we do it in, it's telling me on the package to start in August. So I'm going to start planting them in August, so like that I can put them in the ground and have them ready, because that's our season when it cools down. I can have my tomatoes again, and I can have my snow peas. I can have all those crops that I love to have during this time for us. So, get back to you as soon as I get done doing this. Okay, now I've practically done all the trimming that I'm going to do for my lemongrass today, and I'm pretty much done with trimming all the plants back that I wanted to trim back for this segment of PinchAPennyGardener. I'm only going to do now is just go ahead and rake, put the stuff in my compost, and I'm done. I'll give you an overview of what it looks like now that I finish. I gave you an overview of what it looked like before I started, but now I'm going to give you an overview of what it looks like now that I'm done. So, this has been Simone for PinchAPennyGardener. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.